it was going on. So this is Fujifilm's latest small camera, the X-M5. It was released in 2024 towards the end of the year, and it was marketed towards new content creators, YouTubers, vloggers, that type of market. It's a small camera, it's a pocket camera. It is not meant to be your Sony A1s. And ever since this camera was released, the world of Fujifilm users and even users from other camera systems have been torn apart, been split into two. Some part of this divide love this camera like I do, and the other side hate this camera. They absolutely talk trash about this camera on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. And I get it. It's not every product that comes that everyone would like. There's never been a product that's been released by any company that is loved by everyone. Yeah, it happened to Lumix. It happened to a lot of other companies. When a product drops, even the iPhone is not loved by everyone. People will have their bias. People will have their, oh, yeah, we don't like this about this. We don't like that about. And I get it. I understand. It's just how it's supposed to be. It's human nature. It's marketing. It's everything. It's just preference, right? But having this camera for months now and using it every day, taking it out with me every day, everywhere I go. If I leave the house, this camera is coming with me. I'm kind of thinking like, yo, the whole complaints surrounding the Fujifilm X-M5 is just very, very illogical. It's just baseless, because when you look at what this camera was made for, before you think I'm a Fuji fanboy, right? I'm not a Fuji fanboy. Yes, I love Fujifilm cameras for certain reasons, but if anything, I'm more towards the Sony side of things. I've got a Sony a6700, which I'm making this video on right now. I've had other Sony systems in the past, and this is my first Fujifilm camera. Before I bought this camera, I had loads of research to do. It was online, looking at the X100 series, looking at all of these, the XE4, the X Pro 3, and other options. Fortunately, I was able to grab this one. Looking at the purpose of this camera, this is built to be for the people who want to take a camera with them when they're going out, or take pictures of their family and friends. This is a camera for YouTube. Put it on a tripod and talk to the camera, talking head like this. This is a camera for people to learn how to use cameras, how to take pictures, how to make videos, what camera settings mean, and you know, just familiarize themselves with the exposure triangle, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and them things there. You see, the price of this camera is between 800 and 900 GBP or USD, depending on where you are, depending on if you're getting this camera with the kit lens. This is the kit lens. It comes with a 15 to 45 mil kit lens. Yes, it's not a fixed aperture kit lens. We don't even expect fixed aperture from kit lenses. It's a 3.5 to 5.6, but it's got optical image stabilization, which I will come to that. And this camera has no in-body image stabilization. Like I was talking about the price before, yeah. So this is $799 if you're buying it without a lens, and $899, which is, call it £900 or $900 if you're buying it with the kit lens. Bro, relatively, this is a cheap camera. This is a cheap camera relatively compared to the X100 series, compared to the XH2S, compared to the other cameras that are being released in the past 2 years. Even when you're looking at the Sony side of things, right? The Sony ZV-1 Mark II is about the same price as this. Which one? The Lumix S9, how much is that? This is the kind of camera that is made by Fujifilm to fit into that market. This camera shoots 6.2K open gate. This is not something that Sony does. Sony, I would say, the king of entry-level videography. But with my Sony a6700, I shoot downsampled 6K in a 16:9 aspect ratio. This camera does open gate. If you don't know what that means, open gate is a 3:2 ratio. It means it gives you more pixels to work with on the vertical side, on the vertical axis. So if you're cropping a vertical video, you're not really losing in, as you would have to frame things differently with your standard camera. That's not the topic for this video. What I'm telling you is, yeah, this camera shoots 6K open gate. It has log recording, Fuji log. It has It's an APS-C camera, so the lenses that you would find for this are cheap. TT Audisons and 7 Audisons Voigtlander lenses are less than £200. Even Viltrox are selling lenses for £200, £300, and these are very good lenses. This is a camera that if you're coming from an iPhone, there's people out here on the internet clamoring and glamorizing iPhone photography. Oh yeah, the iPhone 15 Pro, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the iPhone 16 Pro. It makes cinematic. The word cinematic has been abused so much in the past year. Cinematic footage, cinematic photos. We talk about all these things. I agree. Yes, the iPhone pictures are great. The iPhone videos are great. But if you, as a person, have come to realize that the sensor size on an iPhone is smaller than a 1-inch sensor on like a Osmo Pocket 3, and the 1-inch sensor is smaller than a micro four thirds sensor, and the micro four thirds is smaller than an APS-C. The step up from this to this is crazy. Is significant. It's not even a marginal say, oh, it's just, no, it's serious stuff. This is an upgrade. If you're buying this to replace your iPhone, it's a massive upgrade. This camera is like the first car that you buy after you pass your driving test. It's like the second car you buy after you buy your dream car. Let's say you buy a Porsche 911 and you don't want to drive that every day to the store, every day to work, every day to, and you buy a little, you know, Honda or whatever, or like a little Audi, or you get what I mean, a cheap car, so you can drive that and drive your 911 when you want to drive 911, not every day. This camera is for people who know what they want. This is not a camera that you just go ahead and buy because it's cheap. The X-M5 fits into the same category as the Ricoh GR series, as the ZV-1 series. Fuji colors are amazing. We already know that. With the whole recipe culture, there's platforms, Fuji X Weekly, there's Facebook groups. There are so many websites that would offer you support when you have color needs. If you need a recipe, you need a profile, all of these little tips. It's a big community. I think if you ask me, I would say the Fujifilm community is way bigger than the Sony community, because Sony is a tool, is a nice tool, but I see this as a fun camera to use. When I'm taking pictures with this, it doesn't feel like I'm doing science. It feels like art. With my Sony A6700, so capable, God tier autofocus. When I take this camera with me, first of all, it's bigger than this one, it's heavier than this one. I just know I gotta dial everything in right, and that it's clinical, it's sharp, it's everything. But this one just takes all of that out of my mind when I'm taking pictures. And yet people are out here determined to talk trash about the X-M5, talking about X-M5 has got no IBIS, the X-M5 has got no EVF, the X-M5 has got terrible grip, the X-M5's battery is small. Oh, the X-M5 screen for that price range should be more. If you're not giving us EVF, you should give us a better screen. Come on. When you're talking about IBIS, yeah, did all the cameras before the X100V have IBIS from Fujifilm? I mean, how many photographers have you heard them tell you, oh, I took a crappy shot because the camera had no IBIS. It had no in-body image stabilization. I get it. If you're using it for video and you say you don't have in-body image stabilization and it's marketed towards vloggers, right? So I'm supposed to hold the camera in my hands and make videos, and why does it not have in-body image stabilization? Yeah, I get it, but I still don't get it, because it comes with a kit lens that has optical image stabilization. If you put this kit lens on here, there's a digital stabilization mode, and you turn that on. Not even the active one, just the first one. Yeah, you combine that with the lens, or just use the lens alone. The stabilization that you get from this camera is better than what you would have gotten from the X100V, which is more expensive. You see, the hate that this camera gets makes me understand why the X100V has been out of stock forever. Why the price, the resale value went so high, you could buy a small car from that. Not just it not being in stock, it's so hyped. Everyone, the X100V, X100V, X106, X105, X106, like, it's only because everyone said it's nice, and then a whole group of people said it's nice. Now that so many people are saying this is terrible, a whole lot of comments, it's terrible. I heard it has no EVF. Oh, I heard it has no this, I heard it has no that. Half the people talking about EVFs don't even use EVFs. Does your iPhone have an EVF? When you take pictures with your iPhone and you're out here saying, oh, I shot an iPhone, did you use an EVF? No. If you have a Ricoh GR, do you use an EVF? No. Talking about IBIS, if you combine this camera with the kit lens, you get stabilization. Is it God tier stabilization? No. And if you're planning to buy this camera for professional use, like you're shooting events and whatever, I believe you would consider buying a gimbal, something small. Maybe like the Zion Crane M3S. If you're buying this and you're thinking it should have had an EVF, then you don't even know what you're doing, because you're looking in the wrong places. It's like you're trying to go off-road into the forest and hunt animals, cut down trees and drag them back home, and you decide to go in a Mercedes C63 or a Mercedes C200, right? A small car just made for everyday use. Instead of going with a G63 or a Range Rover, so let's say you don't have the budget for a G63, you can get a more affordable truck from Ford. You can get a Ford Ranger. Let's say you cannot afford a Ford Ranger, you can go to the Toyota Hilux Tundra. There's always trucks for that purpose. And if you're coming to buy a small camera, having the expectations of a large camera, you're buying the Fujifilm X-M5 and you expect it to be the XH2S. You're buying the Fujifilm X-M5 at 900 USD and you're expecting it to be the FX3. Come on, be for real. And then we start talking about the grip. Yeah, the grip is small. It came without it's uncomfortable. I understand. Everyone's hands are not the same. I've got what I would say medium-sized hands. Look how small this camera actually is compared to the size of an iPhone 15 Pro. This is not a Pro Max. This is just a regular Pro, right? Obviously, you wouldn't expect the thickness to be the same, but height-wise, this can fit in my jacket pocket. If IBIS was added to this, it would be heavier. If a grip was added to this, it would be larger. And they decided to make it so small. Talking about grip, yeah, Small Rig have given us not one, not two, but 3 grip options. One of them is the one that I'm using right now. It comes with this silicone grip and a metal bottom plate that serves as a mounting plate. What's it called? Arca Swiss? Yeah. If you don't like this, I've seen pictures of people with really thick fingers, and because of this grip, even with this grip, they still can't fit their fingers in between the grip and the lens. The leather case by Small Rig solves that problem. All I'm trying to say is the purpose of this camera was to be small. It wasn't meant to be large and fat and grippy with a huge battery. It's a small point and shoot camera. That's something we shouldn't forget when we talk about the grip. We're talking about the screen. What do you mean the screen should be brighter? The screen should be better? Are you trying to save photos on your camera and show the photos of your family to your friends on your camera and be like, yo, look what I took. Look at the picture that I took of my graduation last week. Look at the picture of my wedding, like on your camera. This camera has good enough screen. It's on par with the Sony that is twice the price. Fujifilm has the X app, which is something no other camera brand offers right now. The X app allows you to take pictures on your camera and transfer it wirelessly to your phone in a matter of minutes. You connect your phone to your camera, you mark the photos that you want. If you're shooting JPEGs, you mark the JPEGs. If you're shooting RAW, it won't appear on your phone, but you mark the JPEGs. If you're shooting recipes are always JPEG, so you mark them and send them to your phone. Just wait for it to load. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're good. If I'm shooting on my Sony, I have to take out the SD card, put it in my computer or my iPad, copy out the JPEGs and send it to my phone via AirDrop. Or it's not the same. And then the elephant in the room, autofocus. Fujifilm autofocus is trash. Fujifilm autofocus is terrible. The X-M5 has terrible autofocus. Bro, if you're taking pictures with single point autofocus, you can't complain. This does well. It's great for single point autofocus. If you're taking pictures of trains, like I tried to take pictures of trains on my Sony, if I set it on AFC, autofocus continuous mode, and I set the subject detection to trains, like I said, Sony is god tier autofocus, right? If it's a moving car and I set it to car, it'll track the car, I'll take all the pictures, back button focusing, I'm good. On this one, it's not quite the same. If you're trying to track fast moving subjects, you gotta go to your autofocus continuous and set it to the third option. I can't remember what it's called. I could turn on this camera right now and check it, but I'm not gonna do that. The third option on the AFC options, the one that's 2:2, it works perfectly. I'll show you a bunch of pictures on screen right now of pictures that I took of a train in motion, and they were all in focus. Now that's autofocus settings that you need to figure out, that you need to look and understand what this camera means when it says certain things. Talking about video, I have made talking head videos with this camera on a tripod, looking at the camera and talking. The thing I can tell you is if this camera is set to eye detection auto, left and right, you will have issues where it hunts trying to figure out which side is the left, which side is the right from time to time. If you set it to left only or right only, it'll stay there very well. Not as Sony. If you set it to human detection and you leave it on and you're sitting here talking, once in a while it hunts, but the speed is not enough for you to come back and play back the footage and think, oh, I was out of focus the whole time. What is the camera doing? No, the camera is not going to do that. If you put this camera on human detection or face detect or eye detect, it'll focus on you. If it hunts, it'll be so quick to come back to you that you won't even notice it except you're looking, except you're comparing the AF of this camera to the autofocus of a Sony. Then you will see the difference. But then again, for how much? For 900? 800? I'm just trying to say this camera has its purpose. This video is not really the type of video that I make coming online to rant and stuff, but it's really annoying and frustrating when I'm online and I'm seeing a camera that I know, that I have used, I've currently got with me, coupled with a Peak Design strap, is always on my side, and people are saying it's a terrible camera. Oh, why does this camera exist? Why did Fujifilm even build this camera? Just give it a rest. If you know what you need, I'll put a video in the description, I'll put a link to a video in the description of a guy that made a video, not even a video, like a movie type recording with this camera. It's a movie. He made a movie with this camera paired with some Sigma lenses. Impeccable results. If you know what you need to know, this camera is amazing. This is not meant to be your be-all, do-all camera. It's 800 pounds, for God's sake. It is not supposed to be the camera you take to shoot sporting events. I'm not saying you can't do that. In the right hands, you can do anything with this camera. So if you're worried about IBIS, when you should be worrying about your composition, if you're worried about IBIS and a viewfinder, when you don't even know what your settings are, you're out in the streets trying to shoot pictures in manual camera settings and you don't know the right things to do and you're complaining, oh, it's the IBIS, my pictures were blurry because the autofocus was bad. Nah, that's not it. It's a skill issue. It's a skill problem. It's like going on a video game and complaining, yeah, Warzone is terrible. Yeah, Warzone is not the best, but people are still winning matches on Warzone. Life is not easy. People are still buying houses every day, buying cars every day. You see what I'm saying? It's different. Yes, it's different. But we can try to make things work. This is not even a camera that you need to try to make it work. It is okay. It's amazing. Our generation wants everything, every new camera to have every feature on the planet. It needs to have 6K open gate like this one, immaculate autofocus like a Sony, matte stabilization like a Lumix. It needs to have full frame because APS-C ain't shit. Like that's what they say. It needs to have an OVF, not even an EVF, with very bright. You know what? Yeah, if Fujifilm had put like a 3-4 stop IBIS into this, or 3 stops, or even 2 stops, if that exists, and the IBIS was terrible, and they had it on the label with in-body image stabilization, people wouldn't even talk about that. You know why? Because that's how dumb we've become. We don't say things based off of the things that we've done and seen. We now say things because of what we've seen other people say. It's like the camera complaint culture is much like the cancel culture in hip hop. So if one person says, I don't agree with what this guy did, he should be cancelled. Everyone's like, yeah, cancel him. Yeah, he should be cancelled. Without even listening to what actually happened or trying to figure out for ourselves. All I'm really saying is this camera has its purpose. The Fujifilm X-M5 has its purpose. It's built for a certain market. You need to figure out if you are the market for this camera or you are not. If you are, buy it. If you are not, leave it alone. Don't confuse yourself. The people that this camera was made for, like myself, we appreciate this camera a lot. If you're looking to buy the Fujifilm X-M5, go ahead and make that purchase. Don't leave this camera alone and listen to the critics online saying the camera is terrible. This camera is not trash. This camera is an amazing camera. And on this channel, I'll make loads of videos with this camera. I'll make loads of videos talking about this camera, telling you everything that I have experienced with this camera. I've currently got a 23mm f2 Fujinon lens here. And sometimes I take the kit lens with me if I need a tighter focal length, like the 45mm end of this lens is really nice. Yeah, man, if you want to hear me rant about the DJI Mic 2, there's a video on this side. You should click on it and watch that. I'll see you again on the next one. Bye.